Hello students, today you are going to learn 7th standard term 2 history unit 3. The topic of this unit is rise of Marathas and Peshwas. Come, let's get into the video session.
Students, today you are going to see the third unit, rise of Marathas and Peshwas. After learning this lesson, you come to know about the origin and the growth of Maratha kingdom with particular emphasis on the role played by Shivaji in strengthening it. To know about the administrative structure introduced by Shivaji. And also you can examine how far the Marathas were responsible for the decline of the Mughals. And also you can assess the role of Peshwas in carrying on Maratha power. The rising power of the Marathas in the southwest posed the real danger to the Mughal Empire. Shaji Bhonsle, Shivaji's father, an officer of Ahmednagar state and later Bijapur, proved to be the thorn in the flesh of the Mughals even in Shah Jahan's period. But it was his son Shivaji who attained glory among the Marathas as he could stop the Mughal Empire expansion in the Deccan. Shivaji was a gallant fighter, army general and a guerrilla leader. He built up a band of brave mountaineers who were loyal to him. With their help, he captured many forts and gave Aurangzeb's commanders a tough time. As Maratha grew stronger, the Mughal Empire weakened. The Mughal emperor had to recognize the right of Marathas to collect their chow tax all over the Deccan. Warfare opened opportunities for talented commanders who contributed to the vigorous expansion of Maratha power early in the 18th century. Now we will see the factors responsible for the rise of Marathas. Geographical features. The physical features of the Maratha country developed certain peculiar qualities among the Marathas, which distinguished them from the rest of the people of India. During the 16th century, the Sultans of Bijapur and Ahmednagar had recruited them to serve in cavalry. Their presence was helpful to the Sultans in balancing the political ambience of the Muslim soldiers in the service. The rocky and mountainous terrain gave protection to the Marathas from invaders. Bhakti movement and the Marathas. The spread of Bhakti movement in Maharashtra helped the Maratha people develop consciousness of their identity and oneness. It promoted a feeling of unity, especially in terms of social equality among the Marathas. In the Maratha region, the religious leaders were drawn up from different social groups. Eknath, Tukaram and Ramdas were the noted Bhakti saints. Tukaram and Ramdas had considerable influence on the life of Shivaji. Literature and language of the Marathas. Marathi language and the literature also served to develop unity among the people. Hymns composed in the Marathi language by Bhakti saints were sung by the people of all castes and classes. Shivaji. Shivaji, born in 1627, grew up under the care of his mother, Jijabai, who influenced him with stories from the Hindu epics Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Shivaji's teacher and guardian, Dadaji Kondadev, trained him in the art of horse riding, warfare, and state administration. At the age of 18 in 1645, when he had just entered the military career, he successfully captured Kondana, a fort near Pune. The following year, he took the fort of Torna. Then he succeeded in conquering Raigad, which was rebuilt by him. Shivaji's confrontation with Sultan of Bijapur. Shivaji became totally independent after the death of his guardian Kondadev in the year 1649. He also got his father's Jagirs transferred to him, which was earlier looked after by Kondadev. The strength of his army was Mawarali foot soldiers. With their help, Shivaji conquered many of the hill forts near Pune. He captured Purandar from the Mughals. Shivaji's military raids angered the Sultan of Bijapur. He held Shivaji's father captive and realized him only after Shivaji promised to suspend his military raids. Shivaji kept his word and remained at peace with Bijapur from then on till his father Shaji's death. During this period, he toned up his administration. Consolidation of Maratha power. Shivaji resumed his raids after his father's death and conquered Javali in 1656 from the Maratha chief Chandraro More. He also reduced all the lesser Maratha chiefs around Pune to subordination. In 1659, he killed Afzal Khan, a notable general of Bijapur. In 1663, he wounded and chased away the Mughal general and Aurangzeb's uncle Chaista Khan. To cap this bold act, he audaciously directed his soldiers to plunder Surat in 1664, the major Mughal port on the Arabian Sea. Shivaji and Aurangzeb. After Shivaji plundered Surat, Aurangzeb swung into action. An army under the command of a Rajput general, Raja Jai Singh, was ordered to destroy Shivaji and annex Bijapur. Shivaji finally sought peace, yielded the fortress he had seized, and accepted service as a Mansabdar in the Mughal service for the conquest of Bijapur. He also agreed to visit the imperial court at Agra on the advice of Jai Singh only to suffer humiliation, which led him to escape by hiding in a basket. Aurangzeb was determined to stop the Maratha interference in his expedition against the Deccan kingdom. He attempted to patch up the Shivaji, but those efforts failed. In 1670, the Mughal army was helpless when Shivaji again plundered Surat. In 1674, Shivaji crowned himself by assuming the title of Chhatrapati, and the coronation of Shivaji was celebrated with a great splendor at Raigad. The occasion was the founding of a new kingdom and a new dynasty. Shivaji's aged mother, Jijabai, who had lived to see her son crowned the king, passed away a few days after the coronation, with her life wish fulfilled. Shivaji spent his last years trying to bring his son Sambhuji into his ways as he had defeated to the Mughals. He fell ill with fever and dysentery and died in 1680. The administration under Shivaji. Shivaji's political system consisted of three circles. At the center was the Swaraj. Shivaji was carrying and would not allow the people to arrest it in any way. Shivaji was carrying and would not allow the people to be arrested in any way. In the second circle, Shivaji claimed suzerainty, but he did not administer them himself. He protected people from loot and plunder, for which they were required to pay chaut, that is 1/4 of the revenue as protection money, and Chatesh Mukhi an extra 1/10 as the chieftain's due. In the third circle, Shivaji's only objective was plunder. Deshmukhs held sway over rural regions, and their control was over between 20 and 100 villages. Each village had a powerful headman, Padil, who was assisted by the village accountant of a keeper of records, Kulkarni. In the absence of a strong central government, this local community level officials functioned as a true government. Army. Shivaji gave utmost attention to his army and training of his personnel. In the beginning, the backbone of his army was the infantry. But as his campaigns extended into the plains, his cavalry grew in size and importance. Every soldier was selected personally by Shivaji and was taken into service on the assurance of a soldier already in service. Shivaji took great care in the maintenance and security of his forts. Ashtapradhan. Shivaji assignated 8 ministers as a Ashtapradhan, each holding an important portfolio. Peshwa was the equivalent of a modern prime minister in the Maratha Empire. Originally, they were subordinates to the Chhatrapati. But in course of time, especially from the time of Shahu Maharaja, Peshwa became the de facto Maratha ruler, while the Chhatrapati was reduced to the position of a nominal ruler. Shivaji was influenced by the Mughal revenue system. The assessments were made on the actual yield, with 3/5 left to the cultivator and 2/5 taken by the government. In judicial administration, civil cases continue to be decided by the Panchayat, the village council, while criminal law was based on the Shatras, the Hindu law book. Responsibilities of the Ashtapradhan. Pant Pradhan Peshwa, Prime Minister; Amitya Mazumdar, Finance Minister; Shurnavish Sanjeev, Secretary; Wahyak Navis, Interior Minister; Sarhai Naubat, a Senapati, Commander-in-Chief; Suman Duber, Foreign Minister; Nyayadesh, Chief Minister; Panditarao, High Priest. Sambhuji. Sambhuji succeeded Shivaji after a succession tussle with Anjitatto. There were family feuds plundering the Maratha kingdom. Durgadas of Rathore, Mawar, and Aurangzeb's rebel son Akbar arrived in Maharashtra and took shelter in Shambhuji's court. Aurangzeb viewed these developments very seriously and took all-out efforts to finish off Sambhuji. Aurangzeb's main goal was the annexation of Bijapur and Golconda. These two sultanates fell to Aurangzeb by 1687. In little over a year, Sambhuji was captured by the Mughals and after torture put to death. Maharaja, Shivaji's grandson. Here the Sahu means honest, originally a name given by Aurangzeb to contrast his character with that of Shivaji. He ruled from 1708 to 1749. During the first half of the 18th century, consolidation of royal power was achieved through conferment of royal entitlements upon those who served Sahu. There was an increase in the territory under the Maratha control, from which tribute was regularly extracted. More centralized and strong state structure also began to take shape. Every household, including that of landed household, profited from state employment. Peshwas. Balaji Vishwanath, 1713 to 1720, began his career as a small revenue official and became Peshwa in 1713. Much against the advice of his close circles, Sahu appointed 20-year-old Vishwanath's eldest son Bajiro to occupy the office of Peshwa. Bajiro, 1720 to 1740. Bajiro decided to launch a major Maratha onslaught against the Mughals and the Nizam of Hyderabad. He assumed the powers of the commander-in-chief. He was wise in his choice and commander for this campaigns. Instead of railing on the traditional allied group, namely Deshmukhs, he gave commands to the Gaikwad, Holkar and Shinde or Scindia, families who had been loyal to the Emperor Shahu, his father Balaji Vishwanath, and to him, the prominent Maratha families. Gaikwad at Baroda, Bonsal at Nagpur, Holkar at Indore, Shinde or Scindia at Gwalior, Peshwa at Pune. Bajiro proclaimed wars against Malwa and Gujarat and freed them from Mughal domination. The Mughal army and the troops of Nizam that intervened on behalf of the Mughals were defeated. The Maratha army, which consisted of no more than 5,000 horsemen and no artillery, had by 1720 had doubled in its size. Yet they were no match for the Mughals and the Nizam. The Maratha dominance in the Deccan is also attributed to the qualities of Maratha officials and generals who grew up under Shahu and Peshwa. Balaji Bajiro. When Balaji Bajiro was the Peshwa, Emperor Shahu died. A possible succession struggle among the faction of the royal family was averted. He summoned all the contending faction and forced them to accept the condition he laid down. All the power and authority was now concentrated in Peshwa's office. Balaji Bajiro now commanded an army of paid soldiers. The Maratha peasant warrior band was reconfigured and its run came to an end. Maratha soldiers were not permitted now to retire from battlefields each year for the purpose of cultivating their lands. Soldiers were required to live in forts and towns far away from their home. The Marathas launched raids from Nagpur against Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha. Notwithstanding the conflict between the Marathas and the Nizam over Karnataka, Tamil, Kannada, and Telugu region were effectively brought under the control of Marathas. Between 1745 and 1751, plundering expeditions were launched yearly by the Maratha chieftain Rahuji Bhonsle. Maratha administration under Peshwas. The revenue administration of Peshwas was headed by a key official called the Kama Vizdar. He was appointed by the Peshwa. He was empowered to maintain a small body of soldiers to police the administrative area from where tribute or tax had to be collected. A small staff of clerk and servants were employed to maintain the revenue records. These records were randomly checked by the office of the Peshwa. Judging from the ledgers of the correspondence and the account books, it is evident that Peshwas were keen on the accurate record keeping. The Peshwas regimes looked distinctively modern in comparison with the Mughals, to whose fall they contributed military. The fall of Marathas. The imperial movement of the Marathas sadly ended at Panipat near Delhi in 1761. The Marathas' attempt to extend their domain beyond Punjab was checked by the king of Afghans, Ahmad Shah Abdali. Abdali invaded 8 times before finally marching on to Delhi. The Marathas were now divided among several commanders who approached the battle with different tactics. Artillery decided the battle in January 1761. The mobile artillery of the Afghans proved lethal against both Maratha cavalry and infantry. The Maratha army was shattered and the surviving men took 6 months to return to Maharashtra from Panipat to report the tragedy. By then, the Maratha supremacy over the subcontinent was effectively over. Students, hope you all understand this lesson. Thank you.